Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for Sun Technologies webinar on digital business quality assurance. We have some exciting things to share with you today, so please stay tuned. My name is Heather Johnston and I'm going to be your host this afternoon. I'm the head of sales and marketing for the US region here at Sun Technologies, where we are a leading provider of IT services. So today I'm joined by my four panelists: Bala, our chief architect; Vaidi, one of our cloud architects and DevOps experts; Kishore, our practice head for Automation Center of Excellence; and Abhishek, our QA solutions architect. We're so excited to be talking about digital business quality assurance and digital transformation journey for various enterprises. With more enterprises adopting digital transformation as a primary initiative, there's a need to make testing more autonomous, using technologies to bring value to clients in terms of reduced costs, improved quality, and productivity with faster results. And that's exactly what we're going to be focusing on in this next hour. So just a little housekeeping before we get started. You will notice that you are all muted for this webinar, but we do want this to be a fun and interactive experience for everyone. So if at any point during the presentation you have questions, please go ahead and type them into the question box that's going to be located on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. I'll be interacting with our panelists throughout the webinar so that we can get them answered live for you. If you have any other questions, we'll be sure to save some time at the end for Q&A. And if we run out of time and your question doesn't get answered, don't worry. We'll make sure to get back to you following the webinar to get all of your questions answered. There's also going to be a chat function you'll see on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. So feel free to interact with our panelists throughout the presentation. As I said, we want this to be an interactive experience for everyone. So moving on to our agenda, I'm going to start by giving you guys a brief overview of Sun Technologies before passing the mic over to my team of panelists to go over digital business quality assurance, present a few success stories, and then we'll wrap up the webinar with a little Q&A. So with all that being said, let's jump right in. Founded in 1996, Sun Technologies is a minority and women-owned IT services company headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. Our global footprint extends from North America to Europe and Asia. We help mid-sized to Fortune 500 companies with their IT strategies and projects through our process orientation mindset, which really stems from our ISO 9001 certification and our compliance to CMMI Level 3 standards. So combining that process with our on-site offshore delivery model, we're able to help our clients get their projects done at a higher quality in less time and with significant cost savings. So now that you know a little bit about us, I'll go ahead and pass the baton along to my colleague Bala and let him jump right in.
So much, Heather. I hope all of you are doing well, safe, and hope you're able to hear me. Before I begin my presentation, I would like to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are attending from, and welcome to our webinar. And I would like to kickstart our presentation with a quick poll, on: are you currently involved in any direct digital transformation efforts within your organization? I'll just give about 20 seconds for you all to answer so that I can tailor my presentation accordingly and take it from there. So just a quick yes or a no. And once we get the poll results, we can go to the next slide.
I think we're having a little trouble with our polling this morning, Bala. Maybe we want to continue to the presentation, and after a slide or two, we'll come back to the poll. Here we go.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Heather, for saying that. And let's put the presentation back on, please, if we can. Perfect. You can go to the next slide. So typically when you talk about digital transformation, some of the topics that come into our mind is, legacy modernization, database, security and vulnerability, QA test automation, and DevOps and cloud technologies. So this is how it stacks up. So based on our consulting experience, what we have seen is if you look at the bottom, of the pyramid, legacy modernization and database modernization becomes part of the optimization effort. So when you talk about digital transformation, it's important to understand that all your money or investments or the tech leaders are not spending directly on digitizing their products. Because we have been, most of the enterprises have been living or thriving on older technologies. It's important to use some of them, like mainframes. It's still very robust, very stable, highly secured, but you have to build APIs, integration services. Similarly, database, it needs to be re-architected, re-engineered. Right now you have the snowflakes and the data warehouses. You need to make those decisions. Security vulnerability becomes right in the middle, because QA and test automation and security and vulnerability comes as part of your overall digital transformation efforts. And then comes the DevOps and cloud technologies so that you are cloud ready. So it's not like, you can just lift and shift, but it's also important to be more prepared. And the bottom 3 or 4 items will help you transform to a digital organization and helping the end customers, go through the digital revolution. So I just wanted to put things into perspective, and based on our consulting experience, where we share our knowledge to our customers, is some of the experiences that we have or projects that we have is more towards legacy modernization and digital business quality assurance. So if you look at the next slide, the typical digital transformation doesn't just happen only or reside only within technology. It happens within business and technology. So about a decade ago, it was more to do with technology driving the business. Slowly, that saturation has transformed, and now business is driving technology, especially after the pandemic. We all know the way businesses have started thinking, the way they have started, designing their strategy towards digital has completely changed. So having said that, it's important to make sure that we, identify what exactly is the industry looking for. So if you look at, majority of the industry based on our consulting background, because we work with Fortune 500s and even small, medium businesses. And on the consulting side of things, we see tech CEOs and leaders, technology leaders looking to resolve legacy bottlenecks. They're trying to find new sources of data. And that's where the most bang for the buck is. Basically, the investments are on new and improved project services. It could be outsourced, offshored, or even done internally by hiring from local market, whether it is the United States or whether it is Europe or even Asia Pac. The most important thing that drives the business users is enhancing the customer experience, whether you're in a bank, whether you are an insurance company, whether you're in pharma, retail, telecom. Customer experience is right at the center of the entire spectrum of digital transformation. So there's rapidly changing needs of the customer. So how do you mitigate that? Improve CX, improve customer convenience. And all this is put together, going to resolve in customer delight. Tech CEOs and leaders are struggling or having a challenge. I won't say struggle, it's a challenge to have their existing architecture mapped to some of their digital transformation efforts, because your architecture has to be adaptable, because businesses want to go either with a buy or a build decision depending upon how much investments they're going to make. So you have to have adaptable architecture for organic and inorganic growth. And last but not the least, faster reach and ability to connect with end users. And that's what the industry is really looking for. Hyper automation, no-code technologies are actually taking a far more accelerated approach in the digital transformation efforts and journey. So it requires a cultural mindset. So digital business transformation is not just related to technology, but it's actually driven by business needs, especially after the pandemic. So if you look at the next slide, what we have tried to put things into perspective is how can business and technology, come together? So if you look at the businesses are different verticals, it could be, the line of businesses that every enterprise may have. which is the vertical here, the business processes. So if you're an insurance company, it could be your claims management, underwriting, or applications that directly contribute to your revenue growth. Then you have the actual applications, which are the horizontals, then the data infrastructure, the middleware, the system infrastructure. Some of these, cut across the ERP, HR, CRM, e-commerce, manufacturing, and supply chain. Some of them are outsourced, shared model. When I say outsourced, it could be a product that you're using in a SaaS-based model. Sometimes they could be, age-old legacy applications that are sitting right under. So digital quality assurance itself, when you make a transformation or an change within the systems, there is a ripple effect and an impact, and we all know that. And businesses are driving that change, and that's very important and key to understand. So when we do consulting and assessment on, where CIOs or CEOs come to us and ask a question saying that, where do I start? How do we begin? This is our existing problem. Do we transform? Do we optimize? Both are right approaches and both are right goals, but what fits you is what needs to be determined as part of the assessment. So as part of digital quality assurance, the most important thing is, how do you form your regression suite, and how do you keep things simple, and how do you appreciate or enhance your employee experience in making sure that they focus on high business context activities. So the change occurs right in the middle, and the ripple effects are across the organization, and that needs to be simplified when it comes to development and testing. So it's more business-driven development and also test-driven development. And we need to bring the best of both sides of the world. Let's go to the next slide. So how do we, make an impact in the, overall autonomous validation and verification efforts? So for a few customers that we have worked with, which are Fortune 500s, one is a bank and another one is an insurance company and also a pharma. The way we have integrated, our testing is we have tried to use the traditional QA, which is still okay. You can think it's a waterfall, that's fine. Every organization is not totally, transformed into an agile approach. So there is a traditional QA of create, plan, verify, and go to pre-production, which is your staging environment. Then you do the UAT, then release and configure and monitor. It's important to have a autonomous and introduction of an hyper automation, which is a no-code or low-code technology, either of it, whichever fits your organization and doesn't impact your, training needs, and of course, doesn't bother your wallet too much, but also gives you the agility, the speed to market, and improved or enhanced customer experience is what we wanted to have as part of, extended QA or enhanced QA as far as hyper automation goes. So the focus is more towards how can I impact business and its quality and build test cases and test scripts and have an enterprise solution towards, integrating it with DevOps and, the DevOps pipeline and going, to production. So the time to market is totally reduced, and that fits into your in-sprint agile automation, which my colleagues had, Kishore and Abhishek will, allude to or talk about it in the presentation. So let's go to the next slide. So if you look at some of the market stats, right, this is, based on our consulting experience and survey, and also, with the help of Gartner, what we have seen is every CIO or C-level, leaders in various enterprises are looking for automation returns, whether it is RPA or whether it is a test automation. They want to make sure that they reduce the operating expense and enhance the employee engagement, not the customer engagement, the employee engagement, because digital transformation as part of technology, you want to make sure that your testers are successful. They do more for less. You don't want your testers to write automation scripts on top of an existing developed code. So you want to make sure that you have low code or no code as far as hyper automation or test automation goes. Making sure that your employees are freed up for high business context activities so they can focus more on business and the way the business and data reaches to the end user, which enhances the customer experience. So you want to test. Quality is important, but it's also, we need to change the way we do testing moving forward. So in the next 5 years, this is going to be the trend. And we are clearly seeing the trend in terms of low code or no code. It automatically gives you a competitive advantage. And we have seen, enhanced customer experience to up to 65% in just the first 3 or 4 months of implementation. We have actually saved close to over $2 million in a year for a customer during the pandemic. And that has enhanced the customer experience and also, helped the CIO have a good face in front of the board. So improved consistent process and your adoption rate of test automation within the organization as a culture, right? It's not like a block in your mind or tester's mind saying that, oh, I have to learn Selenium or Java. It's no code. So you just have to, create some actions and test the business process. So there's increased productivity. So with that market stat, let's move to the next slide. And I want to talk about, a quick thing and take an audience poll and wrap up. Are you a decision maker, tester, planning to implement a test automation career change? I don't know whether the poll is working right now, Heather, but we can probably, take a quick poll on this and see what it says.
We got the poll going.
That's great news. Thank you, Heather. Thank you so much. So I would like to end my presentation, with a quick note. So some of the key success factors with respect to, how we look at digital transformation is 4 items. One, consumer digital dexterity, demands new CX products. And, it has to have an enhanced product focus. You have to have intelligence, as a competitive advantage. So if you can bring intelligence within your organization, within hyper automation or within test automation, that's a great thing. Your innovation should be tied to business outcomes. It has to be tangibly measured, and make sure that hyper automation will be the foundation for your digital transformation efforts. So with that, I'll just pass on the baton to Kishore, and Heather, if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Bala. Just a quick question from our audience here. You did touch on COVID-19 for a second. With that in mind and everything going on with COVID-19, maybe you could take a second, and tell us in your experience in the COVID-19 landscape, what seems to be helping these enterprises get through? I think you might be on mute, Bala.
Thank you so much. That does happen, right, when you pass it on. The most important thing that we have seen is stabilization. Customers wanted more stability and optimization. We have seen increase in automation where they wanted to optimize in 2020. So we were able to, have low code, no code as POCs for our customers, do assessment and consulting so that they can take step in 21 and 22 towards digital transformation. So just, if you look at testing, there's accessibility testing, there's API, and they want enterprise solution. So with, for example, IntelliSWAUT, we were able to automate all their test cases without any code and also have the same script being utilized by the business users and use it across multiple devices. Use the same script for even mobile testing. Ability to even expand beyond just functional testing is what the customers were really appreciative of. So stability, optimization of existing technology, and assessment of where to spend and where not to spend was some of the key during the 2020 pandemic, even now for that matter.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much for that, Bala. I think that's a great segue into Kishore. If you want to jump right in, Kishore.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks, Bala, for setting up the stage. So as we were talking through some of the transformation, as Sun Technologies is also moving more towards the digital transformation, we have quite a number of footprints where we thought, like, as the tech stacks are getting changed, it is more important for us as a company so that we also have our footprints in multiple sectors. Either it could be cloud, DevOps, or low code, no code, or the big data kind of analytics, or kind of process automations, or things like that. So as part of the learning curve, what we are getting into, which is also called as transformation from a way back where we were using a record and playback systems to where we are in right now with a lot of technology advances that is coming into the picture. Most of them are moving more to a hybrid model where the same applications would work for either on the web or on the mobile version, it was very key for us to ensure that we are also going through the transformation phase. So as part of this particular process, we worked on multiple sectors in cloud, DevOps, on all those channels, and we also had that improvisation towards the knowledge management and ensuring we have touch base with the leadership management, ensuring what is the transformation that is moving on, and understanding all those factors. This is kind of the journey which was started. As we move on to the next slide, as the technology has changed, what we have done is through the understanding of our journey, we have changed our digital footprints from starting to where the understanding to the level of implementation. There are a lot of frameworks, a lot of innovations that has come into the picture, where we just as part of the process we just initiated it. We have built some algorithms or engines which would automatically convert some COBOL to a Java code, which was like much more advanced version of implementation, enabling the transformation towards faster DevOps engines, which could auto implement a lot of automations and things like that. As we were transforming as part of our innovation model, what we have done is we have implemented multiple IPs, which we call it as our Gemstart kits or innovations. IntelliSWAUT was one, what Bala was covering up earlier, which is a cross-platform or automation framework. So as the enterprises are moving towards a multiple toolset implementation in terms of web, for example, of a web-based application, if you want to automate, you kind of have Selenium as a open source integration. For mobiles, you go into the APM world. So instead, we thought, why don't we have a single platform solution which would cover up all those innovations into a single sector of automation. We also have SDocs, which would be a design letters or statements and other printable templates, which could be analyzed and give some analytics towards it. We have that kind of innovation from the analytics standpoint. And we also have SDevOps, which is like the orchestration on the DevOps pipeline, which would work on any of the platforms or any of the DevOps engines like Jenkins or Bamboo or TeamCity or any of those things. So we also have SMART, which is one of unique feature that has been developed within Sun Technologies, which is more of a code analyzer, just like static code analyzer for mainframes or AS2400 applications. So these are all some of the innovations that came up as part of our digital journey. And as we move on to the next sector, next slide. So this is how the QA is making a change in the digital transformation world. As the strategies, as the companies or the enterprises are moving towards a digital transformation, the initiative started being more customer-centric or customer experience to have much more business intelligence come into the picture and have more process automation implemented. As the innovations are moving through with a lot of big data or technology advancing towards AI, ML mechanisms or cloud computing with AWS or Azure kind of things coming into the picture. So the transformation is getting bigger and bigger day by day, but along with the transformation that is happening with the technology stacks improvising, the importance has come to the QA, where as these are moving through, you also have to have a handful of QA or intelligent QA, which could run all this transformation with a successful ROI or a successful faster time to the market. So with this intelligence automation into the picture, as we are moving more toward agile transformation, it is more important for us to have very good automation into the picture and have a continuous operations. As the technology is moving on, as the QA is building on, it is also important for us to have a continuous integration and testing model with the DevOps pipelines or things like that. So with that, as we move on to the next slide. So what we have done as part of our innovation model or as part of our change management with the learnings what we had, we brought most of the implementation to people and process and technology, where people talks more towards the challenges that may face in the traditional test automation. So where maybe an expert identification or automation framework knowledge or converting that framework into having multiple executions or things like that. And also there are some process challenges where in provide process, either people are moving towards the BDD model or TDD model, or do you have agile development methodology, which can the test automation tool take it up. And there are also a lot of technology challenges in terms of whether the reports have to get generated in a HTML format or put that back into the ALM tools, or report defects back into the Jira lifecycle. So there are a lot of technology challenges. So as we learn through, what we have done is we have come up with an innovation which would help in the digital transformation world to enable both QA and also the DevOps. Can we move on to the next slide? So as you see, what we have done is, as part of our roadmap, even though we were talking from 2014, our knowledge or definition of building these particular tools was started way long back. But as automation was being a key enabler from way 2010 onwards, it was more of a record and playback, or using like UFT or RunnerX kind of tools. It was more of a data-driven or keyword-driven model from 2016 and to 18, where you just have a framework and ensure that particular framework would work on this on the applications, either web or mobile. But eventually what happened is, like as the agile transformation and the agility came into the picture, the team has to perform a lot of QA and ready to market. And we are focusing more towards faster time to the market. As part of this, we have come up with a complete innovation with our knowledge, with our touch bases with multiple platforms, with our customers. So we came up with a tool called IntelliSWAUT, which is a complete scriptless or no-code automation tool, which would transform your which would add a more light towards the digital transformation world, ensure that whatever that you're developing in terms of the transformation, either mobile or cloud stack or whatever it is, this particular tool has been enabler to ensure the transformation is seamless, along with our DevOps pipeline, which we'll be seeing in some time. Can we move on to the next? So this is where I want to finally cover up to just say how are we going to say we are going to have 100% test coverage. So as Bala touched based upon, we have a all-in-one solution which would cover web, mobile, functional, or API or services kind of automation, which would have 100% automation coverage. And we are also forcing towards reduction in test automation scripting. As you see, the tool is completely a drop-down driven approach. You don't even have to write statements. It's all in the basics of where you can use, control, and execute with simple English language, whatever that you see it on the tool. With all that, fuel your team with IntelliSWAUT, which would give you a much more advanced solution on the automation front. With that, I'll let my talk move on to Abhishek. Heather, if there are any questions, we can take it up.
Yeah, sure. Just one question from our audience here, Kishore. As the industry seems to be moving more towards, challenges in digital transformation, do you see that, working in the field as having an impact on QA?
Absolutely. Like me or Bala were touch basing on multiple sectors of the transformation. It is very important for for the enterprise solutions to have automation in picture, which would have wider coverage. And most of them are striving towards in-sprint automation, which would not only help them to ensure the release of that particular software is having zero defects, and on top of it, automation will enable that particular digital transformation to be much more advanced. And at least you will have that confidence while you move on to the production world.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thanks so much for that, Kishore. I think that's great to lead into our demo with Abhishek.
Thank you.
I think you might be muted, Abhishek. I think you might be muted there, Abhishek.
Yeah. Now am I audible?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, I'm sorry for that.
No problem.
So You able to see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Kishore, for setting up the stage, and welcome everybody for this journey of digital transformation using IntelliSWAUT. So as you can see, this is the login screen of IntelliSWAUT. This is role-based access. You are having different projects in your organization or your vertical, and accordingly you can pass the privileges. Once you select a project, click on login button, and this is the home page of IntelliSWAUT. So it is having 4 tabs, starting with the settings is nothing but a user configurations, access, privileges. Second one is actions, which is the core of this tool to create the test steps, automatic test steps. Third one is suite, test suites, where you can stitch these actions to create end-to-end flow. And finally, the execution and reporting part. So let me go through these one by one. Settings, as I told you, it's like user configuration. You can create projects, give the privileges. You can do the email configurations, mailer configurations and all. And finally, the licensing information. Actions, this is the core of this tool. And as you can see that there are already number of actions which we have created. So let me go here and just to see you how we can create a new action, or how can we transform a manual test case into an automation test script using IntelliSWAUT. So before, so you just need to give a name, description, status. Status is like automated, and this is a feature which I want to point out about the IntelliSWAUT, where you are having inbuilt suite of around 300 plus functions which you can use, like all your in your simple English language. For example, open browser, enter text, close browser. This is the one thing. Another is, if you are already having the existing Selenium suite, that can also be configured with in this tool, and it's not like you need to rewrite or you need to work on your framework again. You just need to configure that existing Selenium suite, and it's good to go. So before I move forward, I just want to take a pause here and let you know that how the traditional automation framework works. Here, you in the traditional automation framework, if you want to create an automation script, you need to start with downloading the needed softwares like Eclipse, Java, JRE files. Then you configure them, and then you create a new project in Eclipse. After that, you configure the different files, variable files, environment files, your test data files. Then you add your Maven dependencies. After that, you create first class, and then you write first line of code. But in actions, as I show you, you just go there, you select an action. For example, let's say open browser, click on add, and you just put the URL here. So this is a scriptless tool. You just need to put the parameters, and you are good to go. So this is about the actions. The next tab is test suites, where you can stitch or you can combine all these actions to make an end-to-end flow. So we have already created one flow here. Is for a hotel login. So for hotel login, if you go for the manual test case, how you go, you open a browser. After that, you search for a hotel, you select a hotel, book a hotel, and finally you get the confirmation. Same way we have created actions in IntelliSWAUT for this particular test suite. And you see here, this is the login action, another one is search, and then select, and finally the book. And it's not like you can use the test data one time only. It tools give you the facility to add your parameters as well. As many as parameters you want to use, you can do the parameterizations for positive, negative test cases. So that is about the test suite. And this tool is not only about the automation testing of UI. This can very well used for your middle layer automation, as well as the backend layer database validation as well. Or you can do the verification between the UI and the UX layer, or between the middle layer or the database layer. You can fetch the values from database, and you can compare the values within the middle layer. So this is an end-to-end automation tool which automates your front end as well as middle layer as well as back end. So Before I move forward to the execution part, Heather, do we have any questions?
Yeah, actually, we do have a member of our audience wanting to see if the tool supports multiple operating systems.
Yes, this tool supports multiple operating systems, particularly if it is a Mac or something, then a Docker image can be implemented and configured on those operating systems.
Just to add upon what Abhishek was saying, so this kind of works as of now in all Windows and Mac systems as an agent directly. But if you want to have this executed on a Linux-based system, so usually we are running that through Docker systems. So with that, we are kind of giving option for all the operating system executions.
Perfect. And just to confirm for our audience here, this tool does come in versions for on-prem and the cloud, right?
Yes, it is available in, sorry, it is available in both versions, on-prem as well as cloud. And it is very much customizable as per the needs. So, if anybody wants more information, definitely they can touch base with our sales team, for which the information will be there at the end.
Perfect. Thanks, Abhishek.
Okay. Okay, no problem. Now coming to execution. So as you can see that in the execution, we are having like these different tabs. So first, let me start with machines. So machines are nothing but the machines which are on your network. Maybe it's these are physical machines or the virtual machines. We can help you to configure these machines. With IntelliSWAT, we simply install the agent on these different machines and will help you in execution. Variables, this is an important part where you can seamlessly integrate your test management tools like Jira or ALM, QMatry, TestRail with this IntelliSWAT tool, as well as the DevOps tool like Jenkins can be integrated with this IntelliSWAT. And coming to execution, so execution, as you can see that already there are few executions which are created here. Let me go one of the execution. So the best part of this execution, the execution feature is that you can distribute your load. For example, if you are having 1,000 test cases, you can distribute that load between like 5 different machines, and it will save you one. It will take only 1/5 of the time. Second thing is that if you want to run your same suite for compatibility testing on different machines, let's say for web application, you want to execute your suite on IE, Edge, or Chrome. So you can have different environments set up on your machines and you can do the parallel execution. So here, all the machines which we have already configured are displaying, as well as all the test cases. You are having this selection available where you can just select the test suite which you want to run on a particular machine. So I am running this particular suite on this machine. Initially, it takes some time. So in the meantime, if there are any questions, we can take that.
Yeah, we actually got a question from the audience. It looks like we got it answered, but just in case anyone else was wondering, can you talk a little bit about upgrades for the tool?
Yes, we are having this half-yearly release of this tool. So whenever there is a release, we inform our customers that this release is going to happen with all the features and the upgraded in the upgraded version. So I'm hands down. This tool is doing all this. All automation is execute. This all automation execution is done by IntelliSWAT only. So while this execution is happening, just want to touch base one more point that this tool is not only for web-based application. I think Kishore also touched base that this tool is very well versed with with the automation for Windows-based application as well as mobile applications, whether it's native or hybrid. So execution has happened, and I'm opening the report. So this is a very well detailed report where you are having all the information for each test step as well as the test data, screenshots, everything you are having in this report. And it is also having a concise part if it is required for the CXO label, that how many test cases pass, fail, how much time it took, when it was started, what was the environment. All those information is available in this particular report. So this is about the automation of a web-based application. So I'd like to quickly touch base upon the mobile app automation also. Simply you just go there, you can create a new project for mobile, and this is mobile demo. Settings is same. In actions, if you go here, we have created few actions. This is Cash Karo is one particular mobile application, and you see here action in driver. This driver is inbuilt function which is already in this tool. You just need to pass the parameters for platform, device name, the specific parameters for it, and you can create your test suite. So in the same way, you can go to your test suite, you stitch up your actions and create your test suite. And finally, the execution part. In execution, this is one particular execution which is already created. So I am going to run only one test case for the sake of time. It'll take some time. So I am open for questions.
Perfect. Yeah, maybe you can tell our audience, does this tool support integration with TestRail?
Yes, it can be seamlessly integrated with any test management tool, whether it's TestRail or ALM or Jira or QMetric.
Perfect. And
Okay.
I know, did it come through? Go ahead.
No, that's fine. Yeah, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to, confirm. I know we talked about upgrades a little bit earlier, but just to confirm for our audience, those semi-yearly upgrades, are those costs, do those go to the clients, or, are those free for them?
I'll take that up, Heather. So the way it works is, if you're using our services or the, licenses are active, the upgrades are part of the tool itself. So you don't have to pay separately for it. And we release that as part of our half yearly and full year or end of the year, upgrades. So recently we just had an A11Y or accessibility also added to it. It's still in progress, but we have not released it, but it's upcoming. But it's been successful in terms of how we are validating it. Even the mobile solution was pretty recent, and that comes as part of our overall licensing itself, which can be separately shared. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Bala.
Yeah, so coming back to that mobile execution, we have got the report in the same way like we got for the web application with all the screenshots and everything, and it is color coded for pass and fail test cases. You can go to directly to the failed test cases. It is color coded in red, that what information or what test data you have provided. It is giving all that information. So that's all from my side about the IntelliSWAUT tool. So any last minute questions? I'm fine with that.
I think we're good, Kishore, for now. If you guys have any other questions on the tool, be sure to send those through to me and we can get those answered. But I think for now, I think we're good. If we want to continue on to Vaidi.
Yes, I am making him the presenter. Thank you.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Thank you, Heather. So the next part of the webinar is going to be about how digital transformation is being influenced through DevOps and the test automation through IntelliSWAUT, and also a little bit of a cloud adaptation. Let me quickly share my presentation. I hope you're able to see my screen. We generally have this question, whenever you talk about digital transformation, what comes to the mind? Few people think it's about connecting various devices together, getting the telemetrics analysis, and using those metrics to derive insights. And few candidates think it's mobile, it's AI, and there are a few which is paperless. And participant here would have different options, but Sun Technology does all four. And talking about how our DevOps process is going to influence digital transformation. What you see here is a level 5 maturity level of DevOps where
Eddie, can you make it full screen, please?
Oh, is it not? I'm sorry. Right. So what you see here is a level 5 CMMI level maturity of DevOps where you see CI integrated. Left on the red colored box, you see an agile practice where you follow a 2-week or a 3-week sprint release. You have IntelliSWAUT to do in sprint automation. So as soon as a developer develops a piece of code module, your business analyst or even the same developer can build automation script using IntelliSWAUT for the applications and check it in to the repository. It can be Bitbucket, it can be code commit or GitLab, depending on the tech stack that the customer has. As soon as the code is taken, we have the automated CI process running in where you would be triggering the static code analysis using SonarQube, Veracode. If it is a legacy platform, we can still do DevOps while modernizing it using our homegrown tools like SMAT and so on. We also run the IntelliSWAUT test scripts along with the CI automated pipeline. If it is a microservice-based architecture, we also do containerization. So that's a part of CI. And coming back to CD, that is where we are heading more towards a self-sufficient architecture. We do infrastructure automation, be it is CloudFormation or Terraform or Azure-based templates or even GCP templates. We are able to automate infrastructure by writing an infrastructure template and creating more self-sufficient architecture for the developers to create and deploy their code into the various staging or production libraries. If you look at the capability, IntelliSWAUT powers test automation and our DevOps process powers faster time to market. The biggest benefit is that the script generated using IntelliSWAUT, the automation that is built using IntelliSWAUT is tool agnostic. We will be able to run those automation in a Jenkins-based or a Bamboo-based or a GitLab-based pipeline. At the same time, they're also supported to the cloud-native DevOps like AWS Code Pipeline or Azure DevOps or Google Code Build. This helps us create both tangible and intangible benefit. If you look at the metrics-driven benefit, it helps us do faster time to market, improves us the efficiency, and reduce a lot of manual error in terms of the operations, in terms of creating the infrastructure, and also during the deployment process where a developer has to deploy the code to various regions. Giving a quick glimpse of a value proposition. So whenever we think through digital transformation, what is the value proposition? What am I saving? What am I going to earn? Digital transformation goes hand in hand with cloud, DevOps, and automation is just one yield to it. So when you adapt to cloud during your digital transformation journey, you're reducing a lot of capital expense and you're also optimizing the operational expenses through various automations that we have like DevOps, creating self-healing architecture, infrastructure automations. That leads to a lot of cost savings. Traditionally, we were able to show up to 47% of total cost of ownership saving for our customers by adapting to cloud during the digital transformation journey. Also, you're looking at a lot of service improvements. You improve the performance by supporting scalability. You're also reducing a lot of overhead on compliance because for your total shared responsibility model governed by cloud, you also have an option to improve your security in the overall architecture by creating multiple layers of security across infrastructure, application, transit, and REST data. Agility is one of the key parameters. We spoke about DevOps a bit, and one of the objectives of creating IntelliSWAUT is to improve agility. When you have a faster automation method, you can also make faster testing that helps you push in a lot of change at a quicker pace. So IntelliSWAUT would also power agility. Innovation is one of the key aspects. When you push your data into cloud, you get integrations to a lot of innovative methods, which includes big data. You can use a lot of pre-available ML models to run on your data and also integrate AI to it. We achieve all these business value propositions using these IT horizontals, which includes DevOps, microservices architecture. We embrace to Japster frameworks, and there are a lot of other centralized frameworks where we could generate code and increase the speed at which we do the digital transformation. And all of our value adds are driven by metrics. What you see here is a promised metrics, which is definitely a minimal metrics that you would ensure you get it while engaging with Sun on a digital transformation journey. I think we have covered pretty much about what the value proposition is, how DevOps and test automation. I would open up a little bit of a time for question before we move on to poll and end the session.
Yeah, so Vaidya, a little bit ago, you mentioned some intangible benefits. Do you think you can go into a little bit more detail on, what those benefits might be in doing DevOps on digital transformation?
Absolutely, sure. So we did talk about tangible and intangible benefit. The tangible benefits are the one you see in the form of metrics. So the intangible benefit is more higher than the tangible benefits, and often it can go unnoticed. And glad you brought this question. Kudos to anybody who asked that question. So what happens here, it's going to be a cultural shift. When you're looking at DevOps and when you're looking at digital transformation, you're looking at a cultural shift where you're looking your team to be more self-sufficient. Today, the engineers build code. You need operations to roll out the code to production. You need infrastructure specialists to provision the infrastructure. But when we have a level 5 maturity DevOps, the intangible benefit that you get is creating more self-sufficient teams. We have several customers whom we have practiced level 5 DevOps, where the same agile teams builds the code, that builds the automation test. They provision the infrastructure using templates through a governed structured model, and they also do the deployment. So how about people being more self-sufficient? That is the first intangible benefit that we get. The second intangible benefit is, of course, the innovation. When people try to do different things, they learn, they become fungible. One classic example is, again, a developer creating an infrastructure in cloud and deploying code in cloud. So people tend to become fungible. They broaden their learning curve. The learning curve becomes steep. And that gives rise to innovation. There could be more collaboration because people don't work in silos anymore. It's one agile team which does the infra, ops, and development. So when there is more collaboration, there will be more innovation. So these are some of the intangible benefits that we have realized through building a level 5 DevOps maturity practice.
Perfect. Thanks for that. And one other question, in your expertise, what would you say is the role of AI and machine learning, specific to this DevOps on digital transformation process?
Okay, we did talk about the tangible benefits or intangible benefits. And one of the intangible benefit, as I mentioned, was innovation. When you look at innovation, I can probably talk about a couple of case studies here for one of our customer. Number one, we built an ML model to identify potential security threat using DevOps. So what happens, you accumulate all the application logs, and let's say the user is trying to breach into the application by entering some random passwords and trying to get it. And the system will deny access for multiple times. Those logs get captured as a part of our log analytics. And once we have those logs, the ML model that we have runs through the log and tell the dashboard, probably a dashboard, or create an alert saying there is a potential security threat happening on this particular application. Somebody has to look into it. AI, that is more onto a self-healing system. When we create DevOps and when we do infrastructure automation, we also bring in AI. So we call it as AI and ML ops together, where we create self-healing system. Let's say you have a 400 error on the application or a 503 error on a web application, to be more technical, where the application is down. The system automatically finds out that my web application is down and it reheals by itself using the infrastructure automation that we have created and attaching it as a part of DevOps. So these are major ongoing work that we have been doing on AI/ML, and that is now coined as MLOps and AIOps, which you have been seeing in the market.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Vaidi. I think we're good to move to the poll now if we're ready.
Absolutely. So going back to the poll, let's talk about the challenges in digital transformation. When an organization wants to do digital transformation, they see this as the biggest challenge. Whether they have outdated mainframe, the cultural resistance can be there where they want to retain the 4-day and don't want to destroy the legacy. They also have lack of awareness in terms of what is exactly digital transformation. Is it like suppressing papers and going more mobile? Is it like reimagining the UI? What does exactly digital transformation mean? So that's the major challenge. And very less people say, I don't know what digital transformation, I don't know where to start. So looking at the poll result, I see many people know what digital transformation is, but they don't know where to start. I think the best place to start doing digital transformation is to understand where you want to go. Vision is more important. And how to go towards that vision is done using our consulting. So Sun Technology offers a dedicated digital transformation consulting by which we do an assessment to understand your current state, where you stand. We also understand your vision by doing multiple stakeholder interviews. That includes leadership, developers, testers, the users predominantly, and also do a market research on what is digital transformation being aimed at. Then we work backward to take customer to the vision of the destination. We also ensure we do the proof of concept and ensure the solution that we provide is right and the best fit for the customer. Anybody can give the best solution, but it takes the best fit solution to make digital transformation successful. So if you don't know where to start with assessment, start with the consulting. It need not be big bang 6 months to 8 months. It can also be as short as 3 weeks to 1 month, depending on the size of digital transformation that is being envisioned. But we have done consulting at various scales. We have also helped small business customers successfully transform their digital portals. That includes BFS, insurance, pharma customers as well in the enterprise scale. So feel free to reach out to our team if you want to hear more about how we help customers to start their digital transformation journey.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Vaidi. I know we're coming to the top of the hour here, but just to echo, what Vaidi just said, if you guys have any other last minute questions, feel free to send them over on the chat. Or, after the webinar, if any questions come to, feel free to reach out to me or my colleague Lowell to get those questions answered or to set up a demo for you guys. We would be happy to do that. But thanks again for joining us today for our webinar on business quality assurance, and we look forward to talking to you guys in the future. Any last minute comments from our panelists before we end the day?
I'd just like to piggyback on what Vaidi said, right? Where do I start? And I was interested to see the poll because most of these questions are there, when we do, tech management consulting. The question always, revolves around in digital transformation, whether to optimize or transform or do both. I think it's totally dependent upon what your business needs are and how you want to drive the business. Because the era of technology driving business is almost, kind of over. Now it's more business having the say because they're all almost tech experts right now. So they understand, technology a little bit more, but they understand customer experience even more than ever. And there are a lot of market analytics and AI and ML and data available from a statistical standpoint that helps them make very conscious decisions. So I would say, assessment is the right way to do, but in the assessment itself, whoever you're, taking as consulting partner, but when we go in as consulting partner, we help them in whether to go with optimization or complete transformation or do optimize and transform both. So it depends upon, what fits into your pocket. So I'd just like to end with that note.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Paul. I think that's a great note to leave us off on. So everybody have a great afternoon, and thanks so much again for joining us for our webinar today. Have a good day. Bye.